Welcome to Breaking Down Patriarchy. I'm Amy McPhie Allebest. Just the other day, while I was scrolling on social media, I saw a gender reveal party. The expecting couple was sitting on the grass, each holding a cupcake. And on the count of three, both bit into their cupcakes. And then the smiling mother excitedly revealed pink filling to the camera. The father, however, visibly grimaced. In the video, he balls his hand into a fist and crushes the rest of his cupcake and then throws it forcefully into the distance. He screams into a pillow and then stomps away while his wife just uncomfortably turns off the camera. Maybe you've seen a video like this before. There are lots of them circulating on TikTok right now. Fathers cursing and shouting, throwing decorations, storming off at the sight of pink. Meanwhile, other gender reveal videos can focus on injuries, on grand spectacles and epic fails, or on the heaps of pastel colored litter left in public spaces. And even when these parties go perfectly as planned, some skeptics raise concerns that gender reveals enforce patriarchal norms and might even be damaging to queer and transgender communities. Gender reveal parties have become a multi-million-dollar industry, as well as a common source of both controversy and clickable content. So, to help us make sense of this very complicated phenomenon, I am so grateful to be joined today by the originator of the gender reveal party, Jenna Karvunidis. Thank you so much for joining us, Jenna.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here so much.
This is such an interesting topic, so I'm really excited to dive into it. But first, I'll just have you introduce yourself to listeners. Tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, maybe your education, and what you do for work, and how you came to be the originator of the Gender Reveal Party.
Okay, well, I'm Jenna Karvunidis. I am a civil litigation defense attorney in Los Angeles. I work in the area of housing justice, defending tenants against eviction. I'm also the founder of an app called Yes Table, which is an app for event planning that centers the needs of disabilities and dietary needs of guests. And I am also a former mommy blogger. The past haunts me. And I have three children who are now in their teens.
Okay, awesome. And I understand your writing and your work has been featured in a lot of like major publications, Vogue, NPR, The Guardian, BBC, right? You've done a lot of public writing.
Yes, mainly about the gender reveal party. I am now a gender reveal party critic. Um, I never intended to invent anything whenever I was in my mommy blogging era and we had this gender reveal party. The whole thing stemmed out of a completely different circumstance. I was pregnant with my first child and I had a really difficult time getting going. I couldn't seem to maintain a pregnancy. I was having miscarriage after miscarriage. I don't mean to trigger anybody, but yeah, it was a time. And so by the time I was pregnant with Bianca, I was just like, I finally had made it to like that midpoint of pregnancy where you go in for this big ultrasound. If people are listening and you don't know how it goes, basically you have to wait until you're like 4 or 5 months along. And then you have like this big anatomical scan at the midwife or doctor. So I went and it was, it was just random Tuesday. It was coincided with a family member's birthday. And so I was already planning on making a cake. And this came to me because I kind of needed to solve a couple of different problems. One, I wanted to really celebrate my own like milestone. Like, we're here, we get to know if it's a boy or girl. You can see the baby. Finally, it's a real thing on the screen with its body parts and whatnot. But I also wanted to get my family really jazzed up, for lack of a better term. They were kind of like, on my husband's side of the family, they were like a little baby fatigued because we had just
Mm.
had a baby on that side. They're kind of like, okay, they got their fix of the baby. And so now I'm coming along and it's, kind of like, okay, wah, wah, and then on my side of the family, they live far away and there was a lot of, toxicity and just difficulty getting the excitement going from that angle too. So I am a notorious um, excitement monger. So I was like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put pink. Well, I'm going to make two cakes and I'm going to put blue icing in one and then pink in the other. And then I made this like third, like tiny cake that went on top that was like a duck head. And then I was like, okay, we're going to, the whole gender reveal thing. I was like, I'm going to like figure out at the doctor's office, like what the baby, is a boy or a girl. And then I'm going to tell my sister-in-law in an envelope. And I'm going to have her put the ducky head on the right cake and then bring it out. And I'm going to make everybody come to like a barbecue birthday celebration. So that's kind of how it was. It was for 10 people in my backyard. It was for my mommy blog in 2008, the
Okay.
summer of '08. So that's how it came to be. It was popularized, I would say, through a different vehicle. The way that happened was it was quite a popular mommy blogger for that time. Back in the day, I've since shuttered it, of course, but somebody contacted me from a magazine called The Bump. I don't
Mhm.
even know if they're even still in publication. They were all in the Midwest at the time. It was like 6 or 7 states in the Midwest. I don't even know if it ever made it to the coast, but they contacted me and they were like, "We want to do a spread of your pregnancy journey. We want to do like
Mm.
the centerfold." I wasn't like a centerfold, but for pregnancy publication, yeah, it was just stuff like, like where I shopped and what I did. And this
Yeah.
party was in there. And so
Hmm.
that magazine then was circulated through like as the free magazine and all the little in all the
Oh,
offices where people like
sure.
were waiting for their appointments. And back
Yeah.
before smartphones were ubiquitous, people would just pick up like, like they do like at the kids highlight magazine and you read
Yep.
it in the waiting room. So this
At the
was that
dentist.
magazine.
Yeah.
And after that it took off.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize that that was the story. So this was kind of like pre-internet, pre-social media. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
it was
interesting.
definitely pre-social media. I mean, there was like,
Mhm.
I think I had a Facebook account, but it was not like it is now where people are just sitting and scrolling. I mean, TikTok was not invented. There was no Instagram. So it was
Right.
just, if people remember to come back to your website, which, I did have quite a few who did, and I
Mhm.
had a subscriber list and the whole thing. That's where people got their internet news back then.
Got it. Yes, yes. Yes, not pre-internet, but I guess not like exploding solely on the internet. It was through print media, like I mean at the beginning it sounds like first. So that's so yeah, that's so interesting.
I feel so old saying that, like,
No, no, I get it. I've
magazine.
no, I yep, I was having my babies around the same time too. And for me too, I had little like not gender reveal, but like it is really fun and like joyful, right? To reveal like we're having another baby to your friends and family. So there's certainly nothing wrong with that. And it's actually a very clever and fun idea just hearing it. Like how fun that would be to have two different cakes and you can see the intention behind it and how fun that could be for a family. So, um, okay, so you just talked about what it was like back then when you kind of started the thing and it kind of took off. Walk us from that point to now. How did it start to kind of balloon into really a very common social phenomenon? And what does it look like? What do the gender reveals look like as an industry today?
I think the explosion, no pun intended, I guess, or pun intended, I should say,
Okay.
it was really the dovetail of social media, as with the rise in Instagram and those types of platforms.
Hmm.
People just needed to up the ante and they just upped it and upped it and upped it. And one person did a cupcake one, then the next person has to do a firework, and the next person has to do a plane, or a pipe bomb or whatever it is that they're doing. And they get increasingly more dangerous
Hmm.
as the stunts go on and as people try to capture the views, which I have a hard time faulting the individual people doing it because it has become such a lucrative business, to have these platforms. It kind of seems more of like a structural problem with social media in general,
Yeah.
allowing dangerous stunts, allowing and rewarding dangerous stunts, rewarding the views at any cost. They're not looking at the content going, wait a minute, that's a dangerous stunt. That shouldn't be on here. We're not going to reward that with views. There needs to be some fail safe in that mechanism that I don't know if it exists, but it certainly didn't at the rise of the gender reveal party.
Hmm. Yeah, that so I mean, honestly, I'm not too familiar with it just because that I haven't followed kind of that phenomena. So I'm aware of it, but like one thing that I did hear about was like I think it must have involved fireworks and there was a huge fire that resulted, right? Like a huge forest fire. So those kinds of like dangerous things. I'm just trying to envision like what could be dangerous. And I guess if you're using fire or did you literally say a pipe bomb? Like
Yeah, that
people
was
have done
actually a
this?
really sad one. So there was a period of time where, and the reason why I know so much about like all the different disasters is because anytime there's a disaster,
Oh,
the media calls me. They
people,
don't
yeah.
because think about it, they can't call the people who actually started the fire because it's a
Yeah.
criminal investigation. Their identities are protected until there's actually an arrest made or, whatever. So
Mhm.
they don't have anybody to talk to. So they call me. I'm like, okay, I'll talk to you. So that's how I know. I start getting phone calls. I'm like, there must have been an explosion. And guess what? There was. So this one particular one was a pipe bomb. It's a really sad story. The new baby, the baby to be's grandmother was actually killed
Oh, no.
because the family made a little makeshift do-it-yourself pipe bomb, and it was supposed to
Oh,
explode with pink or blue. I don't know which one. And it was just, it's so sad. It's so dangerous. You would think common sense would override, but I don't think anybody was intending to kill that woman. So
no, no,
I'm not
no.
trying to judge, but yeah, really sad.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, the other ones are like a common one, I guess, is it's sad to say they're common, is the forest fires, the brush
yeah,
fires.
yeah,
So I live here in LA, and we were evacuated for a gender reveal instigated fire. I think that was like 2020 or 2022. We have a lot of fires. So it's hard to remember exactly which
yeah,
fire it was. We've been
yeah.
evacuated many times. Um, and I have some really kind of nuanced feelings about that. Obviously, people should not be starting fires in dangerous conditions. That too involves a lot of common sense, but it's also kind of like there are 100,000 brush fires a year,
Mhm.
and it's like maybe one or two are started by the gender reveals, and it's kind of like, are they just looking for a way to blame women?
Ah, that's
I don't
interesting.
know. I've kind of had that thought too before. Like they shouldn't have been doing that, of course.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the real harm of a gender reveal party. It's really not like the 0.01% chance there's going to be a forest fire. I think that's just
Mhm.
what gets clicks and views. The real problem is, harm to the LGBTQA plus community, people who don't see themselves in the gender binary, um, things like that. I think
Mhm.
it's more of a social harm.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question is how you came to, kinda change your views on the gender reveal parties. What was the instigator in changing your mind on that?
It was a slow process. For one, I have, a child who is of the LGBTQIA plus community, and we
Mm,
support that person 100%. Her pronouns are she, her. Um, there's that. But also, I didn't go into it thinking, okay, I'm just going to like stomp my feet in the ground and say, there's two genders and this one's pink. And that's not what happened. I mean, her nursery was blue and yellow anyway. I knew I was bringing home a female child from the hospital, and I didn't make things pink. So it was just kind of an evolution of just realizing more so as I went on to have more children, and all of my children are girls, and
mm,
I noticed that they wouldn't play with toys unless they were pink.
mm.
And I know the whole pink washing thing is supposed to be like good, like, oh, we'll make a science kit and we'll make it pink, and we'll get girls to play with Legos because we'll make them pink. And
Yep.
it just kind of, with my children, seemed to box them a little further in. It was kind of like, oh, well, I'm not gonna play with that unless it's pink. So unless they make a power tool set or a truck that's pink, it's not for me. And they're getting these messages because they don't generally make, I mean, maybe they do. I'm sorry, I don't want to get an email in my inbox that we make a pink truck. There's a pink truck at Target. But generally speaking, um, there's a lot more girly things are pink. A few of the like shared toys are pink, but not, as far as like really like traditionally boy toys, like that, you don't really see those in pink as much. And I just didn't really like for my kids to be boxed in like that. It just started to feel kind of claustrophobic. And then I'm looking at the gender reveal party and I'm going, oh, this is reinforcing that, and this is where
Mm,
it's stemming from.
mm.
And I don't like it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I remember I have 3 girls and a boy, and I I remember the day in the swimming pool that my son was he had to have been only 2. Maybe he was 3, but, like, still kind of toddler, very little, and a pink, like, Disney princess kickboard was floating around the pool, and he backed up to, like, the side of the pool and just plastered himself on the side, like, "Don't let it" and I think he said, "Don't let it touch me." And he had 3 sisters whom he still does, adores. His sisters were his best friends. He had girls who were friends. He loved his mom. So, I mean, he knew how wonderful girls and women are, and yet he still had absorbed somehow, he had somehow absorbed in the culture. If it's pink and girly, that would contaminate him somehow. It would diminish something in him. I was horrified to see that. And I just thought, I wonder how he has gotten that message, that would kind of lower he knew already there was something yucky, and that would somehow lower his status if he let the pink thing touch him. So I think that's so interesting to hear even from your own family, too. It wasn't a boy necessarily that was like, ew, and ghettoized the girls. You even felt that in girl world, like, ooh, this is limiting, right?
Yes,
So
and that's
yeah.
interesting to hear your point of view because now I'm thinking about it. It's like, are they learning from day one that women and girls are just less than? Because it wasn't that the boy Legos were icky, it was, "I'm
Mm,
not allowed."
I'm not allowed. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, well, right. Because I'm not allowed because as you see, like in a patriarchy, right, that something masculine will raise a person's status. And so, like, a girl can wear pants, but a boy can't wear a dress because that will raise a girl's status to be able to participate in masculinity, but it lowers a boy's status to participate in femininity. And yeah, they do. I don't know how they get the messages so young because we're certainly not saying anything like that around, our household. Maybe it was just, maybe he was 3 and was like playing at preschool or with friends. I don't know, but it was very distressing to me
Yeah, I'm
to
thinking
witness
too,
that.
like, I don't know, but they definitely get the message, and I'm thinking another example of that, it occurs to me, is with names.
Yeah.
Like, a name will be used for a boy for a long time,
Yep.
Leslie or Lauren, and then once the girl parents, the male parent, parents of
Yeah.
boys just completely abandon it. It's just
Right.
another example of, like, girls are supposed to be kept at bay because,
Yep.
yeah, the minute that you start to achieve it, it's
Yep.
somehow, yeah, poisoned
Lowers.
poisoned and lessened the man. Wow.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so you, back to kind of your timeline, you started to kind of feel this shift and like, ooh, I'm not so sure I want. Yeah, I don't like my girls being limited in this way by the kind of symbol of the pink stuff, right? So, did you start like talking about it and writing about it at that point and saying, I'm seeing I started this trend and I'm seeing a problem with it? Did you start speaking out publicly about it?
So I didn't start writing about this until actually I was pulled into the conversation on social media years later. So like I said, I had a mommy blogger. I actually had my first blog in the 90s, like when
Wow.
internet was like a baby. Yeah, I was an early adopter to, social media and blogging like from the beginning. So I had quite a following by the time I had the mommy blogger thing going on in the mid 2000s. It was like, '05 to like I'd say like 2010, 11, something like that. I had the blog. Um, One of my followers from that time followed me also on what is now X, which was then Twitter. And somebody on Twitter who had quite a bit of a following, this must have been about 2019. Somebody asked the question, and they were a gender reveal critic. They were, an activist and outspoken voice in the LGBTQIA plus community. And they said, their tweet was something like, I want to know the full definitive history of the gender reveal party. I didn't see the tweet,
Okay.
but somebody who had been following me for a long time remembered my party, remembered it was me, remembered the article and all of that, tagged me. And that year we had just issued our Christmas card, and the picture on the Christmas card was our family, and my oldest child was dressed in a powder blue tuxedo.
Mhm.
She was dressed in a tuxedo because she didn't want to wear a dress. And I
Mhm.
said, that's fine. You don't have to wear a dress, but you do have to get dressed up. I'm sorry. We have standards around here. it's the it's the annual Christmas card picture, so you can't roll in jeans. But I said, would you like to wear a pantsuit? And this is not too long after the pantsuit nation or whatever it was that Hillary Clinton had done.
Mhm.
And my daughter said, well, can I wear a suit if I did a suit? And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, can girls wear suits? And I said, absolutely. Let's get you styled up. So I ordered it kind of a size, like a slim fit. She was very, very tiny. Got it
Mhm.
a slim fit. I like styled it with a t-shirt and some sneaks. It was really cool.
Mhm.
And then that picture had just so happened to be like our Christmas card. So when this tweet was happening in 2019 and somebody tagged me on it, I was like, oh, funny you should say, funny you should bring up the gender reveal party because here's the gender reveal baby. She's in the
Yeah.
middle. And there she was in the tux. And people were just like, wait. And it's funny now in 2025 that like that picture caused such a stir, but we've come a long way.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
just 6 years ago, it
Yeah,
was like
fast.
kind of unheard of for a little girl to wear a pantsuit. And
Yeah.
now you've got whole fashion houses that cater to women and girls wearing suits.
Mhm.
That's where the impetus came in to draw me into the conversation, and that's when I started writing and speaking against gender reveal parties and the harm that they do to people who don't see themselves in that binary.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. Okay, so given all of those dynamics, can you envision a way of revising a gender reveal party to be something that you would be proud of and you would think is a good idea, or is the concept just problematic at the core?
I actually really like it whenever I see transgender people announcing something new about their pronouns and they use a gender reveal party to kind of
Uh,
claim that. I
mhm.
think that's really cool and it's really fun. It is fun. It's fun to, pop a balloon or have some cake as long as you're not like making an explosion out of it and you're in charge of your own pronouns. You can say, "Hey, you know what? My signature color is purple and I'm coming out of a cake to let you know." Like whatever you want to do. I think it sounds great. And there's a lot of people who have done it. I think it's really neat. And as far as like the, cisgendered hetero straight community, they've actually listened to a little bit of what I say, or at least I think. I have no idea if they're getting the message, but they're doing it. They're actually just doing like name reveals.
Mm,
You can do a nursery reveal and you're like, "Hey, this is the nursery and look, it's neutrals or whatever that is." You can still have that visual pop and that excitement and that sort of moment of revealing something that doesn't have anything to do with like how the child will self-identify their pronouns in 10 years, you know?
mm.
So, that's kind of where I see it going.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, what would be some alternative ideas because like I said, when I remember when I was announcing, like, "We're having another baby," it is so fun, right? It is so fun to make it a celebration and involve the people in your community. So I love those ideas of something that can be more neutral and, um, yeah, still keep the joy of it and keep the goodness of it without the problematic aspects.
Yeah, people love to have, a visual on their social media. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, we do live in this day and age. I'm not telling people to get off Instagram or anything, but, just do it in a way that doesn't say something about the child that may end up not turning out to be true.
Mhm. Yeah. So here's another question in that kind of like in that realm of the interpersonal part, like really where the rubber meets the road is um so if you are a person who has decided like you're not a fan of gender reveal parties and you have a family member or a friend who does throw them and really likes them, do you have any guidance on how to walk that line of not shaming the parents and understanding where they're coming from, but um I mean, this is kind of representative of a bigger issue, right? Like family and friends who aren't supportive of, you know, certain ideals that maybe we are. What's your advice?
That's going to be a tough one for me to answer. I'm the type of person who unfriended my dad after the 2016 election.
Mm,
I don't have friends in my sphere who don't believe in the rights and equality of others. And maybe I have acquaintances, but they certainly would not be inviting me to a gender reveal party because I feel like in 2025, the gender reveal party is entrenched in a certain ideology that does deny LGBTQIA plus people. It denies trans people their existence. I would say, yeah, if you have a conservative family member who's having one of those, what are they like, bows and guns or deer and doe kind of parties? And I mean, if you don't want to cause waves, I mean, I don't know. I'm too much of a loudmouth speaking out to people and being like, really, really. What if the child's transgender? What if the child doesn't, identify that way or whatever?
mhm,
Um, should you still go? Maybe you still go and you just kind of say those things.
mhm.
Start a problem in your family is what my recommendation.
Yeah, well, I guess it's gonna just come down to people's different personalities and their relationships that are, specific to them. But I love that. I love that perspective of just saying what you think and then, yes, letting people and sometimes the seed gets planted and it takes a while, right? But and if you don't say anything, um, then there's not that chance for growth over time. But a lot of times hearts and minds don't change right away. But if you say something, say what's true and with love, then maybe it can change right away. And maybe it takes time, but at least you've said it and then it has the opportunity to grow, right?
Yeah, and maybe for the gift, just bring something that's gender neutral anyway, and
Yeah,
be
true.
like, I didn't pick a side. because I don't care.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
love you.
Yeah. That's so great. One of the most common places that we see gender reveals is on social media. And a lot of the videos that I've seen about this are the ones that similar to the one I shared in the introduction, where the father is visibly upset that when the gender is revealed that they're having a girl, right? So this is just kind of blatantly exposing misogyny. And I'm always fascinated when I see this and wondered if you have any thoughts about this. Why are those videos so popular? Um, I wonder if it's striking a nerve and that people are like, see, that's misogyny for a father still to be disappointed that he's having a girl. And is there anything we can do to minimize the like negative gender-based reactions among parents?
I'm really hoping that people are hate watching that. I hope that they are watching that going, that man is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is, if you are not ready to have a child of any gender or sexuality or ability, then you do not need to be having children. Why are you having children? You need to really rethink that before you make a decision to become a parent.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like how to curtail these sorts of reactions from fathers, I mean, sit them down, women, people who can become mothers, anybody who is reproducing with a man. Have these conversations before you have children with somebody. What is your attitude? What is your attitude going to be if you have, say, we decide to have 3 children and they're all girls? What are you going to do if all of your children are female? What are you going to do if your only child is a girl? What is your attitude going to be about that? And if they have any sort of hesitation, and I would even say if they were like, "Oh, well, I'm going to get my gun." Like maybe they're going to be, "Oh, yeah, I'd love to have a daughter, but she better watch out in those boyfriends cuz I'm going to get my pistols. I'm going to have a pistol under my pillow or whatever they do, the a rifle in the closet or whatever it is." If that's the reaction, that too is actually, even though that sounds positive, that is a negative reaction.
Yeah, for
This
sure.
is also just more sexism, that women are not property. Your daughter is not any more your property than your son. Um, and don't have children with men like this.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah,
have
it's
to
true.
do that.
Yeah, it is just fascinating to me that this can happen and that like all the steps along the way that the wife or the whatever who the mother of the baby does she not realize that her husband is the type of person that would react that way? And then the fact that they post it and the whole world can see that this husband is so sexist, it's just kind of mystifying to me that those things are out there, but they're so common actually. And in a way, it's kind of validating to see because some people are like, "It's the world isn't sexist anymore. There's not a problem with patriarchy," and you just point to those, and it's an easy example of how it very much is alive. But it kind of baffles me.
I wonder if it has to do with the mother in the situation feeling that her options are limited to begin with. Like,
Mm,
okay, I was not, my family didn't save for me to go to college, or I wasn't encouraged when I was in school to look into scholarships and programs to get to college. And so I was just raised thinking that those things out there are not for me.
mhm,
So they just wind up with these men, and it's like, okay, well, I guess this is all I can get. This is all I can
mhm,
do, and they don't even see the seriousness of, maybe they think it's cute, like, oh, it's so cute, he was just joking, he was kidding. And if anybody ever jokes about hurting you, you take it seriously. And if anybody ever jokes about, being mad that they have a female child, take that seriously as well.
mhm.
It's not funny and it's not cute.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that I've seen on social media that I really love are initiatives to combat this. One is called the Pink Ladoo. Have you seen this account on Instagram?
No, what is it?
You would love it. So in South Asia, there's a tradition of celebrating when a baby's born. If it's a boy, there's a big celebration, and they have this traditional South Asian sweet that's called a ladoo, Ladoo. But they don't have those for girls traditionally. And so there's like a celebration for a boy and just a big vacuum of like there's just nothing for a girl. And so she started this initiative getting bakeries to make ladoos for girls celebrations also so that like all babies are celebrated. Like it's just taking that one social tradition of celebrating boys and being sad about girls and saying, nope, we celebrate babies. So maybe you would hear this and think that's still like a gender reveal doing pink and not pink, but I think it's a step in the right direction of at least like correcting the overt misogyny to have like all babies being celebrated when they're born. So that's a really great account. And it was a social custom because I'm from the United States that I wasn't aware of, but that's a very big deal in South Asia.
That is really interesting. I really like that actually because yeah, I mean globally, yeah, we have a long, long way to go.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, the gender reveal party has made its way around the globe. They are literally everywhere.
really.
Um, but I mean, I guess you're kind of making me realize maybe to the very, very small credit, the gender reveal party at least celebrates both.
Right, right, exactly. You did make a cake with pink frosting and you were going to be just as happy. And yeah, yeah, that's so funny. Well, that brings us kind of to the end. This is kind of turning out to be, we're probably just fast talkers, but um, my last question for you is we're focusing on action this season. For season 5, we've been talking about what action items we can take. So I'd love to know if you have anything that you would encourage listeners to do, maybe something that they can do to push back against gender reveals or even just against patriarchy more broadly.
I would say raise your daughters just like you're raising your sons. Set them up with the expectation that they also, you have high standards for them and they also need to achieve. And so that they feel that everything is available to them. And hopefully they can make better choices with partners. And we don't, eventually, we have these sorts of situations where, you know, the father is looking down upon having a daughter, maybe because he feels that she won't achieve X, Y, and Z. And we don't have that anymore because there's actually equal opportunities. We need to see it in the workplace. And it goes beyond just, family medical leave policies. It goes toward time off, rotating time off. It goes toward men also taking accountability at home and rising to that domestic labor task. When we can see more equality in the adults, I think it will trickle down to the next generation.
Yeah, those are excellent points. Okay, well, can you just let us know also, Jenna Karvunidis, where we can find your work? What's your social media? And anywhere that we can find the work that you're doing.
Yes Table at Yes Table CO, and also at High Gloss and Sauce is my other blog page. Let's go to my bigger blog page, but
Love it. Okay, well, listeners, make sure to check out all your work. And thank you again so much for the conversation today. I learned a ton from talking to you. Thank you so much, Jenna.
thank you so much. It was a joy.